I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. Ooh. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you only go.
What's going on, guys? JK, I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to be breaking down Will Campbell, starting left tackle for the LSU Tigers, and his 2025 NFL Draft Prospect breakdown. This is one that I've been excited to do for a while. Before we jump into it, if you like to keep up with NFL content, whether it's free agency, NFL draft, combine, the NFL playoffs, please make sure to subscribe down below to keep up with my channel, to make sure that you're up to date on all the future NFL content I'm going to be releasing. So, starting out here with my first draft prospect breakdown, starting with Will Campbell. This is one of the most highly touted guys. He's considered by most at least a top 10 pick, maybe even a top 5 pick. Some people have him going all the way up to the New England Patriots at 4. Some have him falling. I've seen one all the way down around the 15 mark. All right. Most commonly, he's probably picked to be the Chicago Bears right now at number 10 overall. But a lot can change. We still have months before the draft in April. We still have the combine to go through. We still got pro days. We still got team meetings with all the players and draft prospects. But this is kind of the stuff that I've watched based on his film and some of the stuff that I've kind of came to. It might be shocking to you all since this guy's such a highly touted draft pick and he's been starting at LSU for 3 years now, and people kind of been looking forward to him. But to make this, I watched LSU's games against Alabama, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. That's 3 of the best SEC teams right there. Unfortunately, they didn't have Georgia this year, but Texas A&M has multiple NFL draft picks. They have 2 edge rushers that are considered to be close to first-round picks as well. So he's been up against pretty good competition, so it's pretty good tape to look at. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, some of his accomplishments I've already mentioned, just to break down Will Campbell before we get into it. He's a 3-year starter, so he's currently a junior. He started as a freshman, sophomore, and junior at LSU at left tackle. He's blocked for guys like Jaden Daniels, who went 2nd overall in the draft, and he's blocked for Garrett Nussmeier this year at LSU. So 2 kind of highly level SEC type quarterbacks, the Heisman winner last year, and a guy that some people think can win the Heisman next year once he's gone. Secondly, he was a 2-time first team All SEC left tackle in 23 and 24, both his sophomore and junior seasons starting. This past year in 2024, he was a consensus All-American amongst all the NCAA, and he was the Jacobs Blocking Award winner this year in 2024, which is basically goes to the conference's best blocker. And the most conferences have this, but in the SEC, obviously, he won the best blocker. So, after looking at much of his tape, his 3 games I mainly looked at, there was kind of some shockingness to it that I kind of came up with. I know this is often referred to as a weird draft classes for offensive linemen, and it's kind of considered a more of a weaker draft class. But from a top 10 pick, most of the tackles that are in this draft are considered to be looked at almost as guards that can be moved from guards and tackles. But that's what a lot of people think Will Campbell can play. After looking at the film, most of his strengths that I considered that I found, he has very high football IQ. If you can just look at how he plays and sees the defense, that he's the one calling out most of the stuff for all the other guys. Some of the other LSU offensive linemen were not very good, like their center. Their center could not pick up the blitzes very well. He did not see many of the blitzes. And he's mainly the ones kind of picking it up for everybody else, calling it out at left tackle, most especially for his guard a lot of the times. But the second thing, he has amazing blitz recognition. So this kind of goes with his high football IQ. He does a very good job of whenever there's a bunch of stunts. So maybe the 3 technique is stunting outside to the edge, and his edge defender is splitting inside to the 3, to the B gap. He does a very good job of passing that off to the guard and getting which guys. Or there were several times throughout his film where the edge defender would drop and they would bring someone else, maybe another corner on the outside or inside linebacker, And he did a very good job of seeing that dude drop immediately and then looking for other work on his inside or that other edge defender coming. So this is probably in my opinion, this is Will Campbell's best asset as a player that I've seen throughout the games was his blitz recognition. He's mainly a pass setter type guy and more of a finesse offensive lineman. He's not more of the road grader type guy that's going to be a just pound everybody, just line up and move everybody off the ball. He's not that type of guy. So if you're looking for that type of guy as an offensive lineman, this is not Will Campbell. He's much more of a finesse pass blocker than a mean, just aggressive type run blocker and pass blocker guy. He's just more of a finesse, lighter guy that does very well with speedier guys, and he kind of struggles with more of the bull rushes and stuff like that. But this kind of leads to him needing to be football smart and have that crazy blitz recognition that he does because it helps make up for those type of things. Secondly, he has amazing, great footwork. That's another thing as well that kind of makes up for his finesse type build and play style that he's not going to be like one of the mean, aggressive, common, typical offensive linemen that people look for. But his footwork's amazing. His pass sets, he does work very well in his kick steps and posting down to the inside where they do loop or there's a blitz coming on his inside. Lastly, he handles speed rushers well. This kind of leads him to getting burnt some other times, but whenever he has a speedy guy on the edge, kind of like a Will McDonald or somebody like that, that's going to be very speedy, trying to get around and uses their bend or a spin move. He handles these guys very well. He jumps out on them very quick in his pass sets. And then whenever they try to bend around the edge, he does a great job of just running them around the pocket, leading to the quarterback being able to step up. Now, to caveat that, he does struggle with more of the heavier, stronger guys that could lead to him in the NFL that I thought was kind of shocking. That could end up hurting him. But if there's a speedy guy, he's pretty much going to block him and have good technique and footwork to be able to handle him on the outside. So those are a couple of the strengths. Some of these mean that some of his weaknesses kind of go along with these as well, since he's more of a lighter type build that likes to move around on as an offensive tackle. His weaknesses, he plays at a very high level. You can see this in a stance. I'm not saying like very good, but he just plays very tall. He's not very low as an offensive lineman. You want to stay low to the ball, have your chest up and your butt down. You can see in his stance that in these clips I'm going to show you here in a little bit, whenever he's in his stance, he's almost standing straight up. This allows him to be able to get off the ball quicker, but that leads to that run game problem that he has where he's not able to move everybody a lot. He's not able to get down low and just power people off the ball. Um, so him playing at a high level, I think is going to hurt him a lot, and it's one of his main weaknesses. I think he needs to get used to getting lower in his stance, but he's done it for so many years that it's going to feel very weird to him. He's going to have to keep it up like that. And I think this is more of why he's a pass blocking guy, and his pass blocking's decent, but his run game really struggles at these points because he's just not going to get your hands on him where he wants to. Secondly, he takes very bad angles when working the second level in the run game. Whenever he does go into the run game, he's most of the time he was chipping one of the guys next to him, like helping out the guard. And then he was climbing to the second level trying to block linebackers. One of the things that he does not take very good angles. Offensive line play, when you're playing as an offensive lineman, if you're not a very good powerful guy, one of the things you have to have great anticipation and being able to work your angles. Offensive line play is all about your angles. So if I have a linebacker and I take a horrible angle at him, he's way faster than me because I'm an offensive lineman. He's just either going to beat me to the point of attack and make the play, and I'm not going to be able to seal him off, or he's just going to flat out just run over top of me and beat me to where I need to go. And I have several clips like this coming up where you can definitely see the poor angles that he takes, and it leads to the running back either having to make a play and make a tackle at the line of scrimmage for extra yards, or they're just flat out getting beat in the backfield just because he did not get to the point and he doesn't really take great angles when climbing to that second level defender. Thirdly, this is something that was kind of picky of me it's not very bad, but I still see this as a weakness at the next level, is that he gives up way too much ground when anchoring. So when you're anchoring and pass setting, it's usually when somebody's bull rushing you and you're trying to anchor down so that you don't get pushed straight back into the quarterback. This is something whenever he's locking up with one of these defenders and they do end up bull rushing him, he's kind of a weaker, more finesse guy, like I've been saying. And it leads to him being pushed back several yards into the backfield, into the pocket, leading to the quarterback having pressure put on him to where they either have to scramble or they're not as comfortable and have to rush a pass, or sometimes they'll force them to even throw an interception. And this is something that happens multiple times whenever it's throughout these games at the Alabama, Texas A&M. You can see it. He gets kind of pushed back, not to the point where it's a sack, but it's definitely putting pressure on the quarterback. And my main question here is, how is he going to hold up in the next level? If you're doing this, I know it's the SEC and it's one of the highest forms of football, but if you're doing this in the SEC and you're getting pushed back a couple yards against certain defenders, how are you gonna do if you go to the Patriots and you have Gregory Rousseau, who's one of the better edge rushers for the Bills, or let's just say you end up going in the AFC North and you got TJ Watt on you, you got Miles Garrett on you. Those guys are gonna bull rush you to death just because he's not as strong, and they're gonna push you straight back in the quarterback. So I definitely see this as a concern that's going to struggle him at the next level in the NFL. If he's getting pushed 3 to 4 yards back by an SEC defender, how is he going to do against these elite edge rushers that are going to just bully him straight into the backfield, straight into the quarterback? The next one on his pass sets, since he does so well against speed rushers and on the edge of just running them all around the pocket, he gets beat a lot on his inside whenever he's pass rushing. This is something that I've seen numerous times while watching his film. He oversets his defender. So whenever you overset, you're wanting your inside foot to kind of remain in the middle of your defender that you're blocking in your pass set. And he oversets that by being two heads up with him because he's anticipating them being fast and he kind of has to make up for the, kind of athleticism that he's lacking and powerness. So by oversetting, he gives up his inside gap. And I have two clips just out of the 10 that I pulled where this happens. And it can either be a spin move or they just try to fake you outside and cut straight inside. He creates this huge open lane by trying to overset his defender straight into the quarterback. And especially with the spin moves like a Will McDonald or a Son Reddick, people like that in the NFL, they're going to take you straight outside, let you overset them, and then they're going to spin move back inside with that huge gap in lane that you have to the quarterback. And then lastly, I've mentioned this a couple other times with the other ones, not going to move anyone in the run game. He plays way too tall. He doesn't really ever actually get down. I will say, I'll give him this. Whenever he does play in his games and he has to get to a point, when he has to seal off a gap and turn his butt and create the lane, he does that, but he's not driving anybody off the ball. He's kind of staying with them at the line of scrimmage. He's just not a very powerful, strong guy. And whenever he goes to block someone, it's almost like a 1 to 2 yard push and then turn, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. But like I said, in the NFL, with him getting bullied, that's a true concern, not only in his pass game, like I mentioned earlier, also in his run game. His run game could be a total issue. If you cannot run block and move people off the line of scrimmage, then you're not going to create those 4 yard rushes. It's going to be a 1 yard line of scrimmage or -1 yard rush every single time for Will Campbell, just because he doesn't get that huge push off the line. He's not an Icky Iguanu from a couple years ago that just bullies people straight into the ground. So moving on to some of these clips. So some of these clips that I have here, all of these are from the Alabama game, just because, this, to be honest with you, it took a lot to be able to get these clips in here. And I wasn't going to sit there through 3 whole games and just pick out which clips I wanted. So I went through the Alabama game and picked the clips after watching it. But this is kind of a decent one because LSU did get kind of demolished in this game and Alabama really took it to them. But in here has a lot of certain clips that you're gonna see of some things that he does well and he struggles with. So starting out here, if you're looking at the pass pro here, you have a double mug, which is two linebackers in the A gaps. Usually, when the defense does a double mug, one of them's probably going to drop and one of them's going to come. But all the edge pressures on the right side. So you got your running back over here. So you got the guard lined up right here, center in your right gap, guard in his right gap, tackle in his right gap, and the running back watching the other linebacker. So that's how it's going to be picked up. It's pretty much a six-man protection, and you should have everybody accounted for. And Will Campbell's going to be one-on-one over here on his left side on his edge defender. So looking at this, he does a good set. They end up doing a loop, and this was one of the good things that is about him with his blitz recognition. He ends up getting a loop and a X by the D end and the linebacker here. And whenever he ends up doing it, he's able to see it and kind of shovel it off to the guard and be able to pick it up. So the inside guy here, he's going to go straight outside, so he's responsible for him. A lot of guys end up like to chase this guy inside, but he knows when he's kind of slowed down and stopping, he's pretty much playing for the inside. So he's able to kind of pass that off to the guard who ends up getting beat, but he sees this and immediately recognizes that he needs to help out on the inside for this three technique. And he's able to pick it up right here. Now the guard doesn't do his job necessarily. It's seeing the kind of X combo by the defenders. And he kind of lets it up to the quarterback. But Will Campbell does his job here, and this is kind of showing his great blitz recognition that he has mentally and in his vision. So he's able to pretty much anchor down and keep him out of the quarterback's face. So moving on to this one, you pretty much got similar six-man protection. Will Campbell starts out, and this is one of his oversets that he has. So whenever he's oversetting on a defender, why is it? Whenever he's oversetting on defender, just like this, he's coming out to him and he's leaving this inside lane. All right, so whenever he's leaving this inside lane, this leaves room for the spin move to be able to go straight to the quarterback. So him oversetting and with his combined lean of playing too tall, he's trying to lean to compensate. This leads to him falling forward a little bit. He does end up doing a pretty good recovery, but this causes a pressure by the quarterback to where he's pretty much forced to throw it. So you see he hits him with the spin move, and he's right on it. Luckily, the quarterback gets it out and sees his read, but he's pretty much beat on the inside because of his overset. And the quarterback gets it out and overthrows him. Moved on to the next one. Look at this one. This is him demonstrating his angles. Like I said, he has very bad angles here. So looking at this, on that one, he pretty much misses it. He's responsible for that backside linebacker. He's too slow off the ball getting there, and he should know that he has to go right now and sprint to that point of attack straight down the line. And the backside linebacker pretty much makes a great play and cuts down inside the A gap. We're going to see another back view here. So this is basically a power. It's a simple 25 power. So the ball's trying to go right here. What's happening is they're pulling the guard, and they pull the guard, right, or the tackle. Yeah, they're pulling the guard and tackle. The tight end's pretty much responsible for backside seal to make sure that this guy doesn't cross his face. The center is responsible for the back block on the nose. The guard is pretty much responsible for down blocking on his inside defender. Tackles help and chip that so he can seal it. The pulling guard's going to kick out the DM. Tackle's going to lead up right off this down block and go for the place side linebacker. What Will Campbell's responsibility is, he has to go right now for this backside backer right here. So whenever he's blocking down, this backside linebacker is going to shoot right here in this A gap because Will Campbell isn't there taking his angle straight down the line. He goes too far upfield and he's too lackadaisical getting there to the point of attack, and it allows this dude to shoot the gap and make the play in the backfield. It doesn't even give the running back a chance on this basic power play. This is one of the pretty much basic plays in football, and he's just not able to get to that backside defender, and the linebacker just makes a great play here. As you can see, Will Campbell's pretty much lost. He's leaving the play side linebacker for the pull and tackle. And right here in the gap where Will Campbell should be blocking this linebacker, he comes down and pretty much smears the running back. Just because Will Campbell's too slow off the ball, he doesn't take the necessary angle. So moving on to the next play. We got here. Seen that one. Seen that one. All right, moving on to this one. Here, he does a great job. This is one of the things I was talking about with him that he does very well. Whenever he does do this very well, he ends up being able to pass it on his guy and on these speedier defenders very well. He jumps immediately to the outside. Now, like we said, it's going to be very bad if a defender tries to cut back inside and they get the free quarterback lane. But when they try to go outside, he's so good with his feet. He pretty much, when they try to bend around, he pretty much just runs them outside of the pocket, allowing the quarterback to be able to step up and creating the lane for the step up quarterback. So he does a great job of getting his hands on the inside. And when the guy just pretty much tries to bend around, he turns and runs him out. So he pretty much turns his hip and runs him all the way around. As you can see here, guy's running outside. He has a good turn on his hips where the guy tries to make a move around and just runs him straight out of the pocket. Boom. And then he creates that lane, that step up. Now the guard gets a little bit pushed back, and the other tackle's kind of getting beat off the edge. But Will Campbell's holding it down pretty much over here, and he's able to deal with the speedier defenders, being able to be moved around. Allows him to make a throw. Doesn't get caught, but that's what we're looking at. All right, so this one's also demonstrating Will Campbell's kind of bad angles here. They're pretty much running in reverse with this receiver on the outside. So when looking at this play is going outside, and he should know that whenever he's playing, he's pretty much on an angle right in here that he should pretty much pick up anybody that comes right through here. And whenever he ends up doubling right here, he has a terrible angle and goes after the wrong guy. All right. He pretty much is going after this Mike linebacker that makes that play. And whenever he tries to get there, he's just not quick enough based off his angle. And he's pretty much just got to run out there, but he's attacking the wrong shoulder. And he needs to get out there on that left outside shoulder to be able to reach him. So where this guy's coming across to create that lane, as 86 is going to the safety, he needs to be able to pretty much get this box defender right in here and attack his outside shoulder. And he pretty much just gets beat, and the defender gets a free ran throw lane at the runner, even though he doesn't really make it. So moving on. Let's see what we got on this one. This one, he does a great job. He anchors down. He has a very good set. He doesn't really overset this one this time. He recognizes the stunt. This is blitz recognition that he has, and he does a pretty great job at this one. This guy's cutting inside, so he knows he has to pick him up. And whenever he comes to him, dude tries to bull rush him and push him straight back. He does do a pretty good anchor here, and pretty much settles down, creating the pocket line. He's got his hands on the inside. He's sitting down, chest up. Pretty much how he should be doing. This is pretty much a perfect rep by Will Campbell, and he does a great job on that one. On this one, this is where Will Campbell kind of excels, I think. Is out in space and where he's moving at tackle, he does a lot better. Although he does struggle with getting his hands on the inside, he does like to kind of bear hug his defenders, which I think is going to lead to a lot of holding penalties in the NFL. His hands aren't always super precise on the inside. He more kind of just goes on the outside and grabs them on the shoulders. And this is going to be a problem like this play that's about to show. He's pulling on the outside for this outside defender, the force defender. And whenever he gets to him, he does not shoot his hands on the inside, and he pretty much bear hugs him and gets a holding call. As you can see, he pulls, he bear hugs him, and he doesn't get the right pretty much block, and he gets a 15-yard penalty. So these two are going to crack down on these two guys. He's going to pull around and try to get for this forced defender. And he pretty much just bear hugs him, doesn't shoot his hands on the inside. And you see his hands bear hugging him. He's chest to chest with him, which is pretty ridiculous of a block. He needs to pretty much be better at hand placement and knowing where to place his hands because this is going to get called 1,000 times in the NFL. And he's going to be one of the most penalized players if he continues to be like this. And he needs to be able to get his hands more on the inside so he can control the defender and not just tackle him straight to the ground. On this one, it represents his inside getting beat again. He oversets the defender, and it pretty much creates the lane and the pressure for the quarterback to have to scramble out. Luckily, he gets bailed out because he's had a Jaden Daniels and a Garrett Nussmeier. But on this one, as you can see, he's going to be responsible for this outside defender. All right, they're bringing pretty much everybody. So how this should work in a scheme that I've done, I'm not really sure how they block it. I wasn't really paying attention on the other side. All right. This tackle would get here. This guard would get here. Center would get the nose. The guard would get this one technique or two, it looks like. And this running back would fill for this linebacker that's coming up, and he's responsible for the edge. So what happens is he takes this pass set. That's what happens. The two linebackers drop. So they're only rushing forward, and he pretty much oversets his defender. Whenever I said that this inside foot should be in the middle, so it should be straight down the middle of this defender. So it should be straight across his chest on the head. And then he stops moving his feet and he moves his inside because he sees him kind of coming in. And he pretty much just gets worked because he turns and he created that gap by oversetting. And once the defender comes back in, he doesn't ever use his post foot, which is his inside foot, to pretty much cut this off. And he pretty much turns his hips and his shoulders, which is a bad habit that he has. And he pretty much is creating lanes for the quarterback to get pretty much killed. So then he gets beat, and it creates the pressure for Nussmeier, who ends up making a fantastic play that most wouldn't, especially if you don't have a mobile quarterback. On this one, he does a great job, but it's kind of that one concern that we've looked at that I've talked about is his anchoring. So he has a good set. He has a good punch. He gets his hands in the middle of his chest right here, and he's able to control him. Once he gets there, you can see he gets kind of pushed back by this outside linebacker and gets pushed in. He anchors down to where he stops to where it's not going to really affect the quarterback too much. But what concerns me is if this happens on the NFL level, this is a way tougher defender if it's in the NFL. A way stronger guy that's going to be able to push him back. So this is one of the concerning parts is him getting pushed back into the quarterback and not be able to anchor very strongly and to be able to stop it. But in the SEC, it works, and he gets 2 consecutive All-Americans. So it really kind of just depends on the defender that you're going with, what division he's in for the edge rushers that he's going to be playing. But if he's going against a very strong NFL edge defender, he's going to get put straight back in the quarterback and just get bullied. That's all, and that's what I can see for Will Campbell. Here you have him kind of climbing up to the next level. This was the one that I thought was earlier. Whenever he's climbing, he doesn't really have anybody on his outside. He should be climbing to the next guy that's coming. He should be right here, right now, pretty much waiting for the next defender to show and shoot the gap. And he pretty much takes a horrible inside angle instead of getting right here where he should be. And this leads to this guy being able to come in and shoot the gap and beat him to the point of attack. He should have been way more up here and been able to block that guy. So pretty much my final conclusion on Will Campbell, a lot of people want him to move in the guard on the inside just because his arms are shorter. But I don't think he has the explosiveness and he's powerful enough to be able to play on the inside. I think he does play like more of a tackle, but it's kind of a struggle for him, honestly, because he doesn't have the right angles. He kind of gets bullied and he's not very strong. Although he does have good fundamentals, he has good feet, and that IQ kind of cancels it out a little bit. So I don't know if he's worth the top 5 pick. If you're in the middle of the first round, yes, I could see it. He does benefit because the tackle class is not as good as years past. And a lot of these guys are seen as a guard and are kind of the same way as Will Campbell. So I don't think he's gonna be a star. Like, I don't think he's ever gonna be the best tackle in the NFL. I don't think he's gonna be one of these guys that explodes and he's a Trent Williams or somebody like that ends up being the best tackle for 10 years. I think he's going to be a decent starter. I just don't think he has that huge star potential. But I think he's going to be a starter for a long time in this league. He's just not going to be one of these guys that makes top money. And he's going to be like one of the top NFL tackles in the league. Also, just because he doesn't play like a guard, I don't think it's going to be very good for him just because he doesn't have that explosiveness and he doesn't really have that huge personality that to be able to be mean and push people across. It's always kind of stalemates, and he's a lot more of a pass setting guy out in space, even though he does get beat on his inside. Tackle pretty much benefits him the most, and at guard, I just don't think he has the explosiveness to be able to do it. But overall, Will Campbell, I think, is going to be a solid player in the NFL, and he's going to be a good starter, just not a huge star player. So depending on what your team needs, if there's more of a star at another position that's available, you might want to go that way. Especially with the Patriots, if you have like a Bill Carter or Will Campbell on the board, you're definitely gonna take more of a Bill Carter. But please tell me what you guys think down below about my takes, about my breakdown, so we can have a discussion. If you like the video, please make sure to hit that like button down below. If you want to stay up and keep up with other NFL content that's going to be coming up on this channel, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I want to thank you all for watching. Please keep out, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, feel like John Morant, need a triple-double, told him check the stats, yeah, I got a couple, I don't drop the ball, now I never fumble, I'm the MVP, now I feel like Russell, feel like John Morant, need a triple-double.